Welcome to RealPHN's podcast on local governments and U.S. healthcare. Local governments may be the most important topic. It seems like every one of the stakeholders I pointed out as the most important topic. This may really be it when you think about 1,800 rural hospitals. Local is where life happens. Housing, what you got to eat, streets, utilities, education, the whole ball of wax happens there. Healthcare and health are core to the population, and it happens one person at a time. Healthcare is tightly interrelated with health and all social determinants of health. So here's some parameter setting. 41,000 zip codes with an average population of about 8,000. That's a lot of money in healthcare. 19,500. So now we're up to 17. So the building blocks of the excellent healthcare system is down there in the one by ones. But look at this. With $15,000 annual spend per person, zip codes are spending about $100 million per code and $2.215 million incorporated. The numbers seem wacko. I'm going to have to go check them one more time. Healthcare is the biggest business in town, usually structured as a hospital-centric fee-for-service. 6,000 hospitals, 216 academic medical centers, 1,800 rural hospitals, and 1,343 critical access hospitals. Here's the point. The biggest community business is being managed from outside the local hospital, having to respond and survive. It's basically fundamentally flawed. So we're going to take a look at what individual local communities can do to rectify. That's where local governments come in, the critical healthcare pivot points. Status quo is healthcare locally continues to be hospital-centric with specialists and primary cares and everything it has to do to respond to the medical needs of the community. The future looks like individuals with nursing, health, social determinants, information, primary care, which allows the individual to be flexible with where they go, but the local health system becomes stakeholder 5 with hospitals and specialists primarily, and then centers of excellence where people go out of their town to get sophisticated care and then back into their town but back home through that sequence of events. So here we go, the local government and how they fit in. The status quo is we just keep hospitals and we keep struggling and we start passing tax bills and so forth to keep them alive. And it probably doesn't work too well. The alternative is to make the strategic change to real population health, which is a business model that the local hospital normally will get about 20% of the spend. If they flip into a real population model, that can probably double because they start to deliver what the people in their communities really need. So here's some beef behind this. Leveraging toward the position stated in the handbook. Being the catalytic force in the community, assessing and bringing together local resources. That's the local government. Lead in the formation of short and long-term plans for resource deployment and integration. An example of this is coordinating first responders, personal health nurses, community resources, and medical. That's where the whole thing comes together. The people in the community can find what they need locally that's properly sized. They go upstream to centers of excellence and they come back, and it's a smooth transition. Innovate secure information sharing across social determinants and so forth. This moment commands a story. Last week, a person from our Southern Delaware group had a heart procedure in a large city hospital, was put in the car and sent home. That's the end of the episodic story, and that's how healthcare works. Without the infrastructure, everything that was going wrong at home continues to go wrong. Local government's leadership can change those stories and smooth upstream handoffs. The local government's multiple stakeholder positions open vast doors of opportunity and challenge. We'll now put our wraps on local governments in U.S. healthcare. We first take a look at the size of the magnitude of the number of incorporated municipalities. And hospitals, 1800 rural and 1343 critical access, nearly a half of them on the verge of closing. And healthcare is the biggest business in town by far. Here's my biased view of these data. Local governments are always on the margin unless you're one of the 10 cities with over 100 million people. Normal outcomes fall to big power and big money. Local healthcare must receive the same local leadership as other services and resources. In the hospital-centric model, responding to the needs as they appear in the ER leaves individuals without needed local services and exports local money and needed resources by the tens and hundreds of millions. So bless you, local governments and local hospitals. Hang in, and I'm always going to come back the same way. Flip it to a consumer-friendly health system, and it's a huge business case to be made for that. Thanks for being here.